So welcome back to my new video on interfaces. So today, all I'll be doing is interfaces combined with struts. So if you have done any kind of programming before using object-oriented approach, you should have come across interfaces. So we define interfaces without its implementation, and somewhere in our program, we try to implement all or some of those methods. So without much I say, let's jump right into our IDE. So I'm inside my IDE, and I'm going to create a new directory called interfaces. Okay, so within these interfaces, I'm going to create a new Go file, which I'm going to call main. And inside this file, I'm going to declare a type called interfaces. So I'm just going to say type interface, and then I'm going to give it the name geometry. Okay. And inside this geometry interface, I'm going to declare two functions. The first one is called area, and it returns a float 64. And then the second one is going to be called perimeter. And then the return type, it's going to be float 64. And I'm going to declare two interfaces. The first one is going to be a rectangle. And then the second one is going to be a circle. Okay. So for the rectangle, I'm going to say type is going to be a strut, which I'm going to call rectangle. And then the circle is going to be called circle. Okay, so these are all geometric figures. So within the strut rectangle, I'm going to declare the width of type float 64, and then the height also float 64. And then the circle, we only need the radius to compute a circle. Okay, so I'm going to say radius is also of type 64, float 64. All right, so this is all to it. So I'm going to declare, or I'm going to implement this area and perimeter using the interface. So I'm going to declare another function, which I'm going to call, which the implementation is going to be what, rect, and then I call in our rectangle struct. And then the next function, I'm going to call it sec, and then the strut object. All right, so because we want to implement the area for and perimeter for both rectangle and circle, we're going to do area and then the perimeter. Okay, so for rectangle, we're going to calculate the area as well as the perimeter. So we have func rectangle, and then the perimeter. Okay, so we're going to do the same for circle as well. So we're going to implement the area as well as as well as the perimeter. Okay, so now let's calculate the area of the rectangle. The area of the rectangle, we're going to return rect dot width times rect dot height. And then we know the return type is what? Float 64. Let's also calculate the perimeter. The perimeter of the rectangle is rect. It's I think it's 2 times the width plus 2 times the height. And this also returns float 64. So this is how we calculate the area of the rectangle and then the perimeter of the rectangle using the interface parameter. You see, we didn't define this. We define it here, and then we're making use of it here. Okay, so let's also calculate the area of the circle. We know it's what pi r square. Okay, so math dot pi times sec the radius times sec times radius. And then this returns a float 64. Okay. Okay, I think I made a mistake here. Okay, so now you see it looks good. So if we want to do pi r square radius square, we could also do this. Maths dot power, right? And then we pass in sec the radius to the power 2. So we can get rid of this. So this is also a good way of raising radius to the power squared, and then we multiply it by pi. Okay, so the perimeter also, we're going to calculate the perimeter, which is also 2 pi r. Okay, so we're going to do 2 times math dot pi. Pi is what? 3.141592, blah, blah, blah. So pi times sec dot radius. So this is also going to return float 64. So this is how you calculate your the perimeter of a circle. Okay. So we've done with the implementation of, so if we get rid of area and perimeter, okay, so let's put them back. So everything looks good. So now let's go inside our main function. So let's implement our rectangle strat. So let me put it on on the same line, width. And then we pass in the width is what? 15, and then the height is 25. Okay, so we also implement the circle struct. So we know the radius. We put everything on one line. Radius is, let's say, 10. Okay. So once we do that, we can now call fmt print ln the rectangle dot area. So we can now do area of rectangle is right, and then we can also do area of circle is c dot area. So we can as well print the perimeter of the circle. So if we do perimeter of circle is c dot perimeter. Okay. So this is how you call the area. And also we can also declare another method for func measurement. And then we're going to pass in this geometry interface. Okay. So once we pass this geometry interface and then we assign it to this geometry object, we can do things like fmt print geometry dot area, fmt dot print geometry dot perimeter, because within this geometry objects we have the implementation of perimeter and then area. Okay, so once we do this measurement, we can also pass in, because geometry has this, okay, this circle has, or this struct, okay, let me put it this way, this struct, which is rectangle and circle, we can pass this struct through this measurement function to implement this area, because this circle implements area and then circle implements perimeter. So we can pass the circle, this R, and then we can pass in this circle objects, struct objects. Okay, so let's call measurements, and then we pass in R. And then we call measurement again, we pass in C. You see, we just pass in the struct objects. And then with that struct object, is behaving this way, R dot area, and then maybe C dot area. But this time we are implementing the area as well as the perimeter. Okay, so let's run this and see what we get. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so I can do go run. So now you can see that the area of rectangle is this value. The area of the circle is this value. And then the perimeter of the circle is this. And then if we come here we are implementing two things, okay? So the first one is the rectangle, and then the rectangle is going to implement the area and perimeter, which is this one, area and perimeter of the rectangle, okay? And then we want to also implement the area and perimeter of the circle struct object. So this is the area, just like this one, which is the area of the circle, as well as the perimeter of the circle. Okay, so this is how you define an interface together with some struct objects, and then you do the implementation. Once you do the implementation, you can make use of the geometry objects and then pass in all the objects that implement the area and then the perimeter. So just like we did here. So if we have any question, just don't hesitate to put them in the comment section below, and then I'll try as much as possible to respond to your questions. And also, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. I really appreciate it. Continue watching this channel, and I'll see you in the next one.